It's 1 month till Hanukkah! To which you might be saying, Hanukkah, isn't that the Jewish Christmas? To which I would say no. No, it is not. In this video, I'm going to give you just a brief general overview of Hanukkah and why you, whether you're Jewish or Christian, should be celebrating this 8-night-long event. You may be asking, what is Hanukkah? Hanukkah, which means dedication, is an 8-night-long festival where we commemorate the rededication of the Second Temple. It happened around 165 BC, which is why it's not mentioned in the Old Testament. It is, however, mentioned in the New Testament, but we'll get to more of that later. It all went down when the Greeks, who had taken control of Jerusalem under Alexander the Great around 332 BC, got a new leader named Antiochus Epiphanes, or Antiochus IV, or as he was affectionately known, Antiochus the Madman. Under his rule, horrible things happened, especially to the Jews. The temple treasury was robbed, sacred items from the temple were stolen, and worst of all, he erected a statue of one of his idols on the altar in the temple. And the Jews were forced to Hellenize. That meant that they were forced to turn away from God, the creator of the earth, the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the God of Israel. They had to turn away from him and worship these idols, these false gods that the Greeks had brought over, and basically lose their entire way of life, their entire culture, which God established for them through the law of Moses. But then came the Maccabees, this ragtag group of warriors who were led by Judah Maccabee, who himself was a priestly descendant. For about 3 years, they fought their way back to the Temple Mount, and once they got to the temple, well, there was a lot of work to be done on it. When they got to the temple, it was in complete disarray, and worst of all, the Greeks had been sacrificing pigs on the altar where God's presence used to rest. So there was a lot of cleaning to do. And when it was time to rededicate the temple and light the menorah, which was supposed to be burning always, there wasn't enough oil. Now, it wasn't just any oil that was supposed to be used on the golden lampstand. It had to be oil that had been sanctified, which was a process that took about 7 days. And they only had enough oil for 1 night. But this little bit of oil lasted for 8 nights, as the story goes, which allowed them to make even more sanctified oil so that it could always burn. And so, on this day, the 25th of Kislev, which is in the Hebrew calendar, and it tends to take place for us around November, December, that's why Jews celebrate Hanukkah, and it lasts 8 nights. So, what do you do on Hanukkah? I'm glad you asked. Well, we say special blessings, we light the Hanukia, and we tell the story that I just told you. We also eat special foods, don't worry, we'll get to that, and we play dreidel. Dreidel, 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 I made you how to play, and then it's giant honey, my dreidel I will play. Hey, dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. Overall, it's a really fun holiday with a lot of good food, games, it's joyful. Who wouldn't want to celebrate that? And so now you're probably asking, what kind of food do you eat? And I'm glad you asked because it's kind of one of my favorite parts about the holiday. So primarily, you're going to be eating foods that are fried in oil. I know what you're thinking, oh, a bunch of greasy food, oh no. It's just as good as it sounds. So one of those foods might be latkes, that's probably the most traditional and my favorite. You're going to have Sufganiyot, which is Israeli donuts that are filled with jelly and just delicious. And I always make a sweet noodle kugel. And like most Jewish holidays, the foods we eat are going to represent something, and in this case, it's the oil that burned for 8 nights. And so you may be asking yourself now an important questions. Why should Christians celebrate Hanukkah? And the best answer I can give to that is Jesus himself celebrated Hanukkah. In John 10:22, it says, "Then the festival of dedication took place in Jerusalem, and it was winter." The festival of dedication is Hanukkah. Jesus was walking in the temple complex in Solomon's colonnade. Then the Jews surrounded him and asked, "How long are you going to keep us in suspense? If you are the Messiah, tell us plainly." So then Jesus has a little bit of back and forth with the Jews, but he ends it by saying a very important statement. In verse 30, he says, "The Father and I are one." So on this holiday, in front of all of these Jews who were not his biggest fans at this point, he boldly states his identity and who he is in the Godhead, that he and the Father are one. But this statement at this time is really not all that surprising when you consider that every major event in Jesus' life took place during a biblical feast. And we're going to have more on that later. And if you want to learn more, you're going to have to subscribe to my page and maybe even do the thing with the notification bell. Hit the notification. I can't do it. You can set up getting notifications to learn more about these videos. But there's another important reason why we should be celebrating Hanukkah as Christians, and it also has to do with something that Jesus said. If you go back a couple of chapters, in John 8, verse 12, it says, "Then Jesus spoke to them again, 'I am the light of the world. Anyone who follows me will never walk in the darkness, but will have the light of life.'" So that brings me to the Hanukia itself. The Hanukia has 9 candles instead of the typical 7 that you would find on a menorah in a synagogue. The center candle, the Shamash candle, means the servant candle. And that candle is used to light all of the other candles on the Hanukia during the 8 nights of Hanukkah. And from Isaiah to 1 Peter, we are constantly reading and being told and being shown through his life that Yeshua came as a servant. In Mark 10:45, Yeshua says, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." So in the same way that the Shamash candle brings light to the rest of the Hanukkah, so Yeshua, the Shamash, the servant, brought light into the world when he came and left his heavenly throne and came to be a servant and the ransom for many. And finally, celebrating Hanukkah is a bold way to stand beside your Jewish brothers and sisters. One of my favorite messianic resources is one for Israel, and they put it this way: "If you love Jesus, you are grafted into the commonwealth of Israel, and it was your father's house that was desecrated, faith in your God that was outlawed, mocked, and vilified, and your family who were oppressed and downtrodden." The victory of Hanukkah is the powerful theme of rededication to God's property for his holy purposes is relevant for both Jews and Christians. And in a time when Jews are being attacked for who they are, this is a bold way to honor God and them and stand beside them. But it's also an important time to pray for your Jewish brothers and sisters and that they would come to faith and knowledge in their Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus Christ. Hanukkah is a lot of fun to celebrate, and it has a really powerful theme. So I hope you'll take some time in this month we have before the first night of Hanukkah to maybe see how you can implement this lovely holiday into your family and your traditions. My name is Anna, and I'm the Messy Jew. If you like this video and want to learn more, I hope that you'll subscribe to my page, do the notification thing, leave a comment, leave a like, share it with a friend that you think would be interested, and let's stay in contact. So if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at The Messy Jew, MESSI, and I hope to hear from you. When the Greeks, who had taken control of Jerusalem? Yeah, sorry. See, which is why it's not mentioned in the Old Testament. Or Antiochus Epiphanes, the temple robbery, made the special holy oil. It's not really holy oil. That's our thing. And there are some Jewish holidays where we're not really supposed to be joyful. We're supposed to fast and feel other. We light the Hanukkah. We tell the story. There are foods to remind us of the oil that. And like most of the foods you're gonna eat on a Jewish holiday, it's gonna be representative of. Shut up. And like most Jewish holidays, Jesus was walking in the temple complex in Solomon's colonnade. Well, I have to stop because Jeremy got home and now I was barking. And finally, celebrating Hanukkah. Every year I have a cute, and it's been a great way to introduce them into my culture and God. That's really corny. Follow for more.
I don't like doing this part.
And we're gonna have more on that later. And if you want to learn more, you're gonna have to subscribe to my page and maybe even do the thing with the notification bell. Hit the notification. I can't do it. You can set up getting notifications to learn more about these videos.